Well, I certainly have a lot to say after that game, guys, because wow, I mean, we didn't lose. Yay! We didn't lose. That is awesome, guys. I am so freaking happy. The Detroit Lions are 0-8, right? They've lost many close games and they should have a win by now. An example would be against the Ravens or against the Vikings or just one of those games. So they are probably the best undefeated team of all time, but nevertheless, they're not a good team. They come to Pittsburgh yesterday. I'm at a party, right? I look down at my Apple Watch and I realize Ben's not playing. Oh no. But you know what? You know what the best game to start for a potential heir to Ben Roethlisberger would be for Mason Rudolph? It would be against the 0-8 Detroit Lions, right? So as you could imagine, I was very weary going into this game, expecting for it to be close. And honestly, as long as the Steelers won this game, I wouldn't have cared how it went, right? But at least they didn't lose, right, guys? Yeah. So, the first drive of the game, Mason Rudolph, he marches down the field and he connects with a touchdown to James Washington. You know, both of them went to Oklahoma State, and they have a, clear connection. 80-plus yard drive. Steelers up 7-0. Good job so far, right? Steelers have commanded the game. They stop the Lions, but guess what? Then the Steelers don't do anything. This is when it gets scary, right? The Lions ran all over us. DeAndre Swift, not a bad running back. I personally think he was slightly overrated coming into this game. But let me tell you, with the way he ran around this Steelers defense, including Jefferson, and just every single running back who was on the 53-man roster, the way they ran around this Steelers defense, you would think that the Detroit Lions had 4 all-pro running backs. Because my goodness, I mean, they were balling out. You would have thought this was the Retro Bowl and you have a 5-star running back. Because that was about what was happening, okay? So the Steelers, very interesting team, right? They allow a touchdown. 40-plus yard run. How surprising. The defensive line, they started to show up towards the end of the game, but in the first, second, and third quarter, I saw nothing good with this defensive line. They were getting owned by the Lions' offensive line. Okay, if they took a paternity test, it would turn out that their father is biologically the Detroit Lions' offensive line and Dan Campbell. Okay? That was atrocious. That defensive line play was bad. That was bad. Towards the end of the game, good job. I like how you showed up when it mattered most, but unfortunately, you did so much damage to this team today, okay? TJ Watt, he had a sack. He went down with a hip injury. He did not return for the rest of the game. Scary. I am scared to see what that's going to be. I really hope it's okay, and I'm sure every NFL fan does, because it doesn't matter if it's Tom Brady, right? You don't want to see players get hurt. Even if it's some player that you hate like Tom Brady, it's not okay to cheer players getting hurt, or anything of that nature. But as well as that, Kevin Dotson was injured. He was out for the game. Trey Turner was injured. He's out for the game. And you may say, well, the Steelers' offensive line, my opinion, they played a slightly below average game today. That's just my opinion, especially when it came to running the football. But if their starters do that, imagine what the backups do. Yeah, that's really bad. And then Joe Hayden was out for the game. Minkah Fitzpatrick got injured, but he's good. He came back in. We'll talk about him a little bit more later. But a lot of injuries for both teams. I hope they're all okay. I sincerely hope they're all okay, as well as Baker Mayfield. I know it has nothing to do with this game, but Mayfield, please get better, man. Honestly, I don't care that you're a rival of my team. I don't like seeing players getting hurt, especially the ones that love the game. You can tell Baker does. But, man, this team, right? They marched down the field the very first drive. Mason Rudolph, he looks better compared to 2019. You saw some improvements last year. Today, he looked like Ben, except he could run. Okay, Rudolph can run, Ben cannot. However, there were some mistakes that Rudolph made that I feel Ben would not have made. For example, it's 3rd down and 7, I believe, right? And it's a tied football game. It's 16-16, okay? And the Steelers stop the Lions. Cameron Hayward gets a huge sack. They have to punt from their own 1-yard line. The Steelers get the ball past the 50-yard line. They gain 3 yards on that drive, and they have to punt the football. Why? The play calling today, terrible. I love Najee Harris, but they like him a little bit too much because they call the same 5 plays to the man and then expect for him to break 7 tackles. He's a beast, but he's not going to do that, okay, Matt Canada? Get that in your head. Okay, everyone says, oh, Ben's the reason why the play calling's like that. Today proves otherwise. It is the coaching. That is the reason why the play calling is like this. It's not because of Ben Roethlisberger and his, declining abilities. right? Rudolph, he zipped a pass. You would have thought he was throwing a 50-yard bomb and he didn't want it to get more than 25 feet off the ground because that's how hard he threw it. And of course, Deontay wasn't able to catch it. You would have thought this man was throwing a 150-mile-an-hour fastball to Aaron Judge. But no, he was just throwing to a wide-open Deontay Johnson. And of course he doesn't make the catch because how can you when you have a quarterback like that? Ben probably makes that pass. Even if it's overthrown a little bit, it's a much easier play than whenever you're getting thrown a 150-mile-an-hour fastball directly towards only one of your hands. Right? Rudolph, terrible decision-making. He almost threw an interception in the red zone. His decision-making, still not great. At least he's not a statue in the pocket anymore. But he is not the heir to Ben Roethlisberger. And anyone who thinks he is needs to be checked out. Because he is not. Okay? He can't even put up more than 16 points against the Detroit Lions. The offensive play calling did him no help. But you know what? Rudolph is not special. He has showed us what he can do, and what he can do is not good enough for the future. He's a decent backup at best. That is a fact. Now, when you look, Steelers fans on Twitter, some of them are like, that was bad officiating. Now, allow me to explain. I think that roughing the passer call was bad, but did it affect the outcome of the game? No, because the Lions missed the field goal anyways. But let's just say that the officiating was bad, just for theoretically, right? So other people are going to say, oh, well, it makes up for last week, which it does. However, it wasn't the difference in the game. It wasn't nearly as bad, and I just don't like to see bad officiating on either side, whether it doesn't benefit my team or it benefits my team, okay? I do not like to see that, and I'm not okay with that, And the officiating was not terrible this game by any means, so don't get the vibe that I'm blaming this on the officials. I'm not. And the Steelers had multiple chances to win this game. Now, there are other people out there that are going to say, Steelers are the luckiest team in the world, and I will tell you, they are more lucky than they are unlucky, right? But there are other things that happen to them that are unlucky by their own doing. That it shouldn't matter what happens after that because they should have the ball anyways. But their own doing, they get in their own way. Someone tell me, Mike Tomlin, what did he do special in this game? Nothing. He's going to be able to use the excuse, oh, Ben didn't play, right? Ben, I think he's a little bit better. I wish he could run like Mason Rudolph could. And I'm not saying Rudolph isn't a Lamar Jackson, but if you need him to take off, he can do it at a pretty decent level, right? If Ben could do that, other than that, I think Ben's the better quarterback right now. And that's a testament to how poorly I think of Mason Rudolph. And it could just be my opinion. I've never thought highly of that man. I still would, to this day, would take Devlin Hodges over Mason Rudolph. Because Devlin Hodges had 2 bad games, but other than that, he looked amazing. You clean up those things, he's a young quarterback too. You clean that up, and he has a solid future. Not Mason Rudolph. He's proven what he can do. I was rooting for Dwayne Haskins in the preseason to get the position over him. Unfortunately, he had a bad game against the Panthers, which he did play against their starters, basically, but he wasn't able to get it. That's not the point. So it's the fourth quarter, right? The Steelers get the ball past the 50-yard line. Rudolph does that terrible fastball, and we get 3 yards, and we can't even kick a field goal, right? Then, what do? The Lions get the ball. We stop the Lions. Steelers get the ball. They do nothing. Lions get the ball. We go back and forth, and we both do nothing because both teams were shooting themselves in the foot. No offense to Plaxico Burress or anything like that, but they were shooting themselves in the foot. And my goodness, how can you do this? How? All right? From a fan's perspective, they tied this game 16-16, all right? Even if Detroit would have ended up winning this game, with the rule that I'm about to present, I don't think ties should be legal in the NFL. I don't care. Even if Detroit ended up winning the game in a second overtime, that's more acceptable to me than a tie. From a fan of the game. Not from a Steelers fan, but from a general fan of the game. I think it's so unjust and so anticlimactic that games can end in ties. No. Play until you have a winner. Okay? Detroit, they deserve to win this game. Let me tell you why. First off, Detroit, they missed that extra point after they scored a touchdown. If they make it, it's 17-16 and they win the game. But nevertheless, they didn't, and that isn't their own fault. But it's a very routine play, and they missed it, which is a very Detroit Lions thing to do. But we go to overtime. Lions win the toss. You know what the Lions do? Nothing. Great job, defense. Give yourself a pat on the back. You know what the Steelers do? Mason Rudolph throws a deep pass. And unlike what he used to do, and because he doesn't have Claypool to bail him out because he's 6'5", he made a good deep ball. Good job, Mason. Deontay Johnson catches the ball. He shreds a tackle. We're past the 50-yard line. We're past the 45. Go. Whoop. Fumbles the ball. Lions have it at about the 40, 41-yard line. Nice. And then, even better, the Lions go down the field, right? And like I said, I don't think Minkah Fitzpatrick has had an incredible year. He's had a disappointing year up to this point. I don't think it's as bad as PFF is trying to say. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of the casual fans are trying to say. But yes, he's had no real explosive plays. He's had no interceptions. And he's had, some pretty decent coverages. And yes, he has had blown coverages as well, like Randall Cobb, Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs is somewhat, that's somewhat justified because, speedster. This was obviously before the incident. But he's had an okay season. I think that's a fair assessment. But today, I don't care what you think about the kick against the Packers that was offsides or wasn't offsides and was returned for a touchdown by him. Today, he came up with a huge interception to write off all those narratives, right? I was so happy for that man. And what happened? Devin Bush held. There was a holding on Devin Bush that did not affect what Minkah Fitzpatrick did. But rightfully so, it gave the Lions back the football, right? Everyone's like, oh, the Steelers are lucky that the Lions missed that field goal. And they are. But it wouldn't have mattered. They wouldn't have been able to kick that field goal if Devin Bush didn't take away that interception. Minkah Fitzpatrick, whenever you need him the most, if it's overtime, if it's the last play of a game, and the ball is going towards Minkah Fitzpatrick, I cannot recall a time when there's less than 2 minutes to play in a game where or in overtime, obviously, where Minkah Fitzpatrick has not done his job. And today he got an interception that could have potentially greatly helped the Steelers escape with the win. And even though it's an ugly win, I do not care how we win this game at this point. Nor did I before. As long as we got out with the win with Mason Rudolph, I would be satisfied. But Devin Bush does something. He's stupid, and he holds him. Devin Bush has had a disappointing year himself. And I get he's coming off of a torn ACL. So I'm not going to give the man too much crap about not having as productive of a year as he did in his rookie year in 2020 up until he got hurt in the Browns game in week 6, I believe it was. But he held him. And that took back the interception. That hold had nothing to do with Minkah Fitzpatrick intercepting that ball. But rightfully so, it was called against the Steelers. The Lions got the ball. He messed up that play where Minkah Fitzpatrick could boost up his morale, get rid of all the narratives, and prove his haters that he still has it, because that play definitely wouldn't have counted. Some would say, oh, the offsides against the Packers counted or shouldn't have counted. It should have been a touchdown. It shouldn't have been a touchdown. You can feel however you want about that. But Minkah Fitzpatrick picked off this ball, and his teammate screwed him over. That made me upset. I am sick. I am sick because of that. Fitzpatrick has that INT, and it greatly changes the game. It doesn't matter. The Lions don't kick the field goal that they end up missing anyways. But then, like I said, the Lions get the ball, and they're put to a 4th down. They kick the field goal. Pretty bad conditions. I'm not surprised that he missed it. But were the Steelers lucky that he missed it? Yes. Same as they were lucky that he missed the extra point. However, that extra point's at the fault of the kicker, right? Like, they're not just lucky because that wasn't like last week with the refs helping them out. But nevertheless, they are overall a generally lucky team when it came to today's game. There were things that really shot themselves in the foot. Once again, Plaxico Burress, I'm sorry. Please do not take offense to that saying. But, yeah, they definitely are a very lucky team. I'm not going to deny that. But there are things that they could do and they could change to make it so the things that they strike luck with wouldn't have even occurred. It wouldn't have mattered. But he missed the kick. So the Steelers have a chance, and he missed it. Like, he didn't, woof it or anything. It was just too short. I don't know if it was a bad snap. It definitely had to do with the weather. The weather was definitely a factor in this game. Because although, yes, the fumbles were at the fault of the Steelers and, they're all at the fault of the teams, the weather did definitely have something to do with those fumbles, right? Steelers get back the football. What do they do? Nothing. Nothing. Lions get back the football. What do? Nothing. Steelers get back the football. What do we do? High snap. Rudolph has to get the ball. Doesn't, Actually, no, sorry. That was the drive before, and then the Lions got it. So the Steelers have one last chance. They have one last chance. They go down the field. Mason Rudolph doesn't play terribly. He plays okay. We go down the field, and we have about 16 seconds left to play, something around that range, and we have one play left, right? And we're past we're at like the 45-yard line in Lions territory. We pass the ball to Pat Freiermuth just to try to get out of bounds, get it a little bit closer for Boswell to make it, and try to get a last-second field goal for the victory. And what do? Freiermuth fumbles the football. I am not just going to sit here and bash these players because the weather probably had something to do with it. And also, Freiermuth is a very solid tight end. I still love the pick. Johnson's had a very good season so far. I still like him as a wide receiver and think he's wide receiver 1. But just bear with me. That is gut-wrenching to watch that happen. Right? Because both teams throughout this game, they had chances where the game was in their hands and it was either theirs to win or it was theirs to lose. And the Steelers, in overtime, they had those opportunities more than the Lions to just go out with the win. But they didn't. They fumbled the ball. The Lions took over. They were going to have to do some laterals and stuff like that. Yeah. They don't score. It's a tied game, 16-16 final score. The fact, I don't know if Boswell would have made it. I think it would have been a very tough kick to make. I think he would have came in the clutch because I know the weather has a factor in it, but when it's Heinz Field and there's a kick that's less than 60 yards and a very important kick, even in 2018, whenever Boswell had that off year, he still makes those kicks. I truly think he would have found a way to get that ball between the uprights and win the game. But we'll never know. And just the fact that we'll never know is so sickening to me. And if you're a casual fan watching this game, I'm sorry that the NFL rules only allow tie. Because even if the Lions were to have won this game in a supposed second overtime, although I'd be upset, it would be more justified than a tie. It's anticlimactic, it's not deserved, and I just feel like ties should not be a thing in the NFL. I also am one who is an activist for making the NFL rules of overtime similar to college football, or at least so the other team has a chance to score if they don't win the coin toss and the team that does scores a touchdown the first drive, but that's not the point. I just think there shouldn't be ties. Even if the Steelers ended up losing, like I said, I would have been upset, but it would have been more justified. It would have been a justifiable ending. And as a fan of the game, I would have been okay with that. I don't like ties, okay? And the Steelers, they've done so many things in this game that could have gone differently for either teams that could have had them win the game. The Steelers' play calling's better. If Mason Rudolph doesn't make stupid decisions and play like an idiot, even though this is his 5th year in the league. If, I don't even know. Mike Tomlin, he doesn't do anything to help the team win, I feel. I truly don't feel like he does anything to help them win. He's not bad. I just don't think he's great either. He's better than James Franklin. However, I don't know. I just want someone to tell me when the past half decade, when Tomlin has done something in a close game that has affected the outcome in the crunch time and when it's time to come up clutch. What has Tomlin done that has made the difference? I see absolutely nothing. I'm sorry. I don't see anything there. This team, they tied the 0-8 Detroit Lions. Like I said, the Lions should probably have a few wins. And they've been blown out many times, but there's also been games where they've played up the competition and they should have won. But it's just so sickening. This team, they always, if Ben was in this game, Steelers fans, you can argue that if Ben played, we would have won. It wouldn't have been much of a different result. It would have been a close game. Okay? Because the play calling still would have been the same. The fumbling still would have been the same. The kicking situation still would have been the same. It would have been a pretty similar game to what we saw. But just the fact that we can't even beat the 0-8 Detroit Lions at home, right? Everyone's sitting here, saying, especially national media, like, oh, Steelers, and this was especially before Ben got hurt, Steelers are going 6-3. They got bailed out against Chicago, but, they had Detroit. Free bye week, right? No, I know this team very well. Doesn't matter who's on the field. That's not a bye week. That's a cardiac arrest week, am I right? Yeah! Every single week I watch this team play, I suffer at least 5 heart attacks every single quarter, in particular the third and fourth quarter, and in today's situation, overtime. Because it always seems that the Steelers, there's a point in the game where it's like, yes, they look solid. They look solid, and obviously a 7-point lead isn't anything that that makes it, you think, oh, they're going to pull away with it, they're going to run away with this game. But any other team, the way they went down the field and scored, and the way they stopped the Lions on offense whenever, the following possession, any other team in this league most likely would use that momentum and run away with it, but not the Steelers. The coaching doesn't do them any favors. None. They don't do themselves any favors. Devin Bush, if you're going to hold anything, hold a Bible, because you need Jesus, okay? From what you were tweeting in the offseason to what you have decided to do on the field this season, do not hold opposing players to take away interceptions that definitely will change the momentum, but can potentially change the outcome of the game compared to what it was, and boost a player's morale greatly. Don't take away those plays. Instead, pick up a Bible and read it. Hold that Bible. Squeeze that Bible, but don't break it. But squeeze that Bible, because that's what we need. Okay? Don't hold opposing players. Mike Tomlin, do something. Just anything, please. You literally look like a dead snail. I don't even know what to tell you. You're just there. You're just a public figure to me at this point. Okay? You were carried by Bill Cowher's team. Cowher's team. Not your team. You won the Super Bowl with Cowher's team. You inherited it, and you won. And then whenever it was crunch time and we got ourselves in close games, what have we done? We've developed a culture of playing up the competition. Amazing. But also playing down the competition. We rarely ever play at our actual level. Every week, I sit down and I watch this team. And I know that no matter who they play, no matter what the final score is, they are always going to be in the game for at least 3/4 of the game, if not the entire thing. And they're either going to win off of a walk-off field goal by Chris Boswell, they're going to win by 10 or less against a bad team, or lose, or in this case, tie. And the funny thing is, this is not the first time Mike Tomlin has done this. He did this in Week 1 in 2018 against the Cleveland Browns. And we had a 21-7 lead that game. And that wasn't even with Baker Mayfield. That was with Tyrod Taylor. And let me tell you, Mike Tomlin has not done anything to help this team. He sits there in his press conference and says, obviously, my father once told me that, we don't make excuses. We just create them. That's the type of coach that he is, right? He's all talk but no show. Because he doesn't, he says in his press conferences, we don't make excuses, but what does he do? Creates them. Right? Show me something that this head coach has done that's been special in the past 5 years. Please. Anything. Literally anything. Please show me. I don't want to say, his cool sunglasses, or he came back against the Jaguars that one time when the Jaguars had a 5-6 win season that year, if I recall correctly. Okay? This team, they get bailed out. They are very lucky, but there are things that could make it so they don't need that luck. But they shoot themselves in the foot. Once again, no offense to Plaxico Burress. But they shoot themselves in the foot, and therefore they have to get lucky, and they just so happen to be lucky in that situation. But they shouldn't even need that luck, because they should be able to make the plays. They should be able to convert. They should be smarter. And they're either so crazy with their play calling that they look like they're playing backyard football, and they don't have Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill as their, combination of person throwing and catching the ball prior to 2021. Or they're so conservative that you would have thought it makes Donald Trump look far left. That's how conservative their play calling sometimes is. And just let me tell you, this team, they're just so disappointing. I mean, literally, they've had a great turnaround to the season. And I definitely don't think it's over by any means, okay? But we know this team isn't going to tank. They're not going to take this and lose the rest of their games. So they might as well make the playoffs, right? They might as well. Because it's better than seeing us going, 8-9 and missing, and having a mediocre draft pick anyways. Might as well make it, right? This tie in some ways later in the season, it could help us. And in other ways later in the season, it could harm us. But what I know is a win is better than a tie. And that's what the Steelers should have come out with today. They did get lucky. But they did things throughout the game that it should have been that type of game where, the luck doesn't matter because they would have won anyways. Or the luck didn't even occur because they should have made this play. Or they shouldn't have made this crucial error. That they wouldn't have even needed that luck because the situation wouldn't have even came upon them. But instead, I'm sitting here today having to report on a tie with the 0-8 Detroit Lions. Please, please, someone tell me. I have watched this every single game this team has played since I was in first grade. And 85% of the games go exactly like this, but it doesn't end in a tie. The Steelers give me heart attacks. They get lucky, but then they also do things that they shouldn't, that should just eliminate the luck that they have because they wouldn't even need it, and they shoot themselves in the foot. They make mistakes. They're put in close games. They can never put the game away, and sometimes they end up getting out of there and losing instead of an ugly win, or in this case, tying. That is a systemic issue. It's systemic. It has become a part of this culture, unfortunately, and it needs cut out. I don't care how it's cut out. I do not care who. I don't care how it's cut out. All right? I think it's possible, right? If Mike Tomlin was the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs in 2019, he would have won a Super Bowl, but it would not have been because of him. I'll put it that way. I'll leave Tomlin at that. Play calling is so sorry. It is insane. All right? Mason Rudolph is not the answer. Mason Rudolph is not a good quarterback. And the only thing Mason Rudolph can do definitively better than Ben that we can all agree upon is running. As anyone in the league can, aside from Tom Brady. So please, sit back and look at what you did today, Pittsburgh Steelers. Sit back and look at what you've done. You didn't lose, but you didn't win. And look at the opponent that you played. Everyone's professionals. Anyone can win on any given Sunday. But the fact that you sit there and you cruise down the field for a touchdown just to do absolutely nothing except for 3 field goals the rest of the game on offense. Sit there and think about it. Think about how Minkah Fitzpatrick had that interception. And Devin Bush, put your head down and think about how you ruined that play. Okay? Deontay Johnson, Pat Freiermuth. I'm not going to tell you to put your head down. Those fumbles were crucial. I wish you didn't make them. I'm feeling for you, okay? The weather definitely had a part to do with it. I wish you would have held on to it. You know, at the end of the day, I am upset that it happened, especially the Freiermuth one, because I just would have liked to see what would have happened if Boswell kicked it, because I think there's a great chance that he would have made it compared to every other kicker in this league aside from maybe Justin Tucker. But just please learn from this. They never do this, but learn from it, because this is a frustrating loss. It's very not loss, tie. It's a very deflating. We played the worst team in football when it comes to their record, and we tied them at home. I don't care who the quarterback is, as long as the quarterback is not Nathan Peterman. We should win this game. Landry Jones probably could have won this game. But instead, we're sitting here with a tie. Please, anyone, feel free to place your thoughts in the comment section. We can have a respectful debate if you wish. Once, like I said, just review what I say, because a lot of people, they like to just pinpoint certain things without listening to the whole thing. But just this team, man, you can definitely expect the days of our Steelers coming your way. The only thing that I could say I have good to report is that, the football team going to Super Bowl, they're going to win out, go 11-6 and win the Super Bowl. They beat the Buccaneers. Good job. Baker Mayfield, I hope he's okay. Everyone who got injured today, I hope they're all right, obviously. But, the Browns, they definitely did not have a good time in New England today. At least the Ravens lost. And, I mean, they should have the division lead right now. But instead, I don't even know if they do. I don't know if the tie puts them in division lead or not. I don't believe it does. But don't, fact check me on that, please. Because I don't have time to sit there and Google it, or else the video is going to turn off. But just... the Steelers, this is the definition of Days of Our Steelers. You can expect an amazing episode coming out later tonight and or tomorrow, because trust me, you're not going to want to miss that. That's going to be an amazing episode. Probably the best we're going to have all year, because I have a lot of stuff to say. So I hope everyone has a great day. Enjoy the rest of your day watching NFL football. But as for me, after suffering 5 different instances of cardiac arrest within 20 minutes, I'm probably going to go drink some water, eat some food. And just they do this every single time. Like, literally, you put your mental health on the line when you watch this team, because you just already know what's going to happen. But the way they do it, it just gets you every single time. So, I guess the correct way to end this would not just be to say have a great day. I do wish you have a great day. I hope you all do. But So are the days of our Steelers.